Alrighty, friends, let's go ahead and make this review. We'll look at this big old table of information. So we have f, f prime, g, g prime. We have some values, and then we have positive, negative stuff. Okay, let's see what we got. Find the x-coordinate of each relative minimum. So for part A, f has a min. That's on the closed interval. Okay, so let's start on interior min. If f prime equals 0 and f double prime min greater than 0, because you have to be concave up, f has to be concave up and has a slope of 0. So that's going to be x equals, oh, I don't have f double prime. Oh, that's not going to work. Okay. My brain, so f prime goes, change my mind, goes negative to positive. I'll get there eventually. And I probably should say an interior min. Interior min. So that is occurring negative to positive at x equals 1. Now, I was hesitating because I was looking at endpoints. So if I look at like negative 2, the derivative after that is negative. So that means that negative 2 is a max. If I look at 3, the derivative before that is a positive. So let me draw that. So from negative 2, we have a negative slope. And then going to 3, we have a positive slope. So both those are going to be relative maxes, which is not what I'm asked about. Explain why there must be a value c such f double prime equals 0. Okay, so for B. And looking at the f prime values, since f of 1 minus f of negative 1 over 1 minus negative 1 equals 0, and f is continuous and differentiable, then try this, try this, try this. Then f prime, double prime of c equals 0 for some c in negative 1 to 1. That's MVT. I just kind of wrote it all out, what that meant, to make sure I had it there for us. Part C. The function h is defined. Okay, so h, part C. Natural log of f of x. Find h prime of 3. So h prime of x is going to be 1 over the stuff times the derivative of the stuff. So h prime of 3 is going to be 1 over f of 3 times f prime of 3. F of 3 is 7. So h prime of 3 equals 1/7. F prime of 3 is 1/2. So 1/14, or I could just leave it as 1/7 times 1/2. Evaluate that integral. Okay. So for part D, I have the integral negative 2 to 3 f prime g of x. Ooh, okay. G prime of x. That looks like chain rule to me. So let's go ahead and u sub this. Let's say u is g of x, which means du is g prime of x. Du dx, I guess I should say. Which means dx is du over g prime of x. So, all that fun stuff gives us integral f prime of u, and then I have g prime of x du over g prime. So those will cancel. So the only other thing I have to worry about is what's g of negative 2? G of negative 2 is negative 1, and g of 3 is 1. So that changed those bounds, negative 2 and 3. So now underivative of f prime, and that's f from -1 to 1. And f of 1, so that's f of 1 minus f of -1. F of 1 is 2. F of -1 is 8. So 2 minus 8, I could do that and write -6, but I don't need to. I can leave it how it is. And, the last question sounds good. Is f continuous? So 6a, for f to be continuous, the limit as x goes to 3 from the left of f must equal the limit as x goes to 3 from the right, must equal f of 3. So the limit from the left is square root of 3 plus 1. The limit from the right is 5 minus 3. And f of 3 is 5 minus 3. Obviously, the right-hand ones are the same. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2, and 2 is equal. So yes, f is continuous. Continuous at x equals 3. Okie dokie. Find the average value of f on the closed interval 0 to 5. So average value will be 0 to 5 f of x dx over 5. But I have to break that top piece into 2 pieces. So I need to do the integral of 0 to 3, square root of x plus 1 dx, plus the integral 3 to 5, 5 minus x dx, all over 5. So x plus 1 is going to be x plus 1 to the 3 halves with a 2/3 from 0 to 3. 5 minus x is going to be 5x minus x squared over 2 from 3 to 5, all over 5. And then we're going to plug in 3. So 2/3, 3 plus 1 is 4 to the 3 halves, minus 2/3, 1 to the 3 halves, plus 5 times 5 minus 5 squared over 2, minus 5 times 3 minus 3 squared over 2. Now that's a numeric answer, so I can stop there. I could simplify it. Let's see. That would be 2 4/3. So it gets a little weird. Spending a little bit of time. You should get, I forgot, divided by 5. And you should get 4/3. Now, for the last part, I'll do it up. That's what I'll do. There we go. Suppose the function g is defined by that. K and m are constants. G is differentiable. Okay. So we need the limit as x goes to 3 from the left of g of x to equal the limit as x goes to 3 from the right of g of x. So from the left, that's going to be k times the square root of 3 plus 1. From the right, it's going to be 3m plus 2. So 2k is 3m plus 2. We also need the limit as x goes to 3 from the left of g prime to equal the limit as x goes to 3 of g prime, left and right. So g prime on the right is just m. On the left, that's kx plus 1 to the 1/2. So that's going to be 1/2 x plus 1 to the -1/2 times k. But it's not x. I shouldn't have put an x there. I should have put a 3 there. 3 plus 1 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. And then to the negative 1 is 1/2. So this is k over 4 is m. So k is 4m. And then put these equations together. If k is 4m, you have 2 times 4m equals 3m plus 2. 2 times 4m is 8m, minus 3 is 5m, is 2, which means m is 2/5. Ooh, I forgot an equal sign. Equals 2/5, which means k is 8/5. Whew. So, in order to check the differentiability, I had to check the continuity piece, which is this. The limit from the left is equal to the limit from the right. Technically, it has to be equal to g of 3, but I know that g of 3 is the same as this. So that's the continuity piece. And then for the differentiable part, I have to look at the derivative. So the left-sided derivative and the right-sided derivative have to be the same. That gave me these two equations. K equals 4m, and 2k is 3m plus 2. So I decided to just plug in and then solve.